Welcome to Deep Cyber's weekly cybersecurity briefing. Here's what has unfolded over the past week. This week, one theme cuts across every story. Trust is the attack surface. Not firewalls, not passwords. Trust in the tools we use, the tokens we forget to revoke, and the software we ship without asking hard enough questions. The first story makes that point with uncomfortable precision. Grafana, a widely used data monitoring tool, confirmed that attackers stole portions of its source code, not by breaking down any doors, but by walking through one that was never locked after someone else's breach. A connected open-source library called TanStack was compromised first. That compromise exposed a security token. That token still had access to Grafana's private code repositories, and Grafana never invalidated it. The lesson for any business is not just about Grafana, it is about every credential, token, and digital key that touches a third-party service you depend on. When a supplier reports a breach, your first question should be, what did that breach have access to on our side? Audit your connected credentials immediately, because attackers will not wait for your next scheduled review. The Grafana story is about a single token that should have been revoked. But the next story asks a more uncomfortable question. What happens when the vulnerability is not an oversight, but a choice? A new report has found that 3 out of 4 companies knowingly ship software containing security flaws driven by pressure to meet release deadlines rather than fix known problems. That pattern is being accelerated by the rapid adoption of artificial intelligence coding tools which generate code quickly but often without the security review that human written code would receive. That code then flows into the broader software supply chain, touching every vendor, product, and customer connected to it. The risk here is not just technical, it is cultural, and it will require business leaders, not just security teams, to push back on the assumption that speed always outweighs safety. Ask your software suppliers directly, what is your process for reviewing AI-generated code before it ships? If knowingly shipping flawed code is the slow burn, the next story is the explosion that follows. An automated attack called Megalodon injected malicious code into more than 5,500 GitHub repositories, all within a 6-hour window. GitHub is where developers store and share code, and the attackers did not target end users. They targeted the building blocks that developers trust every day. Fake accounts disguised as legitimate automated build tools inserted hidden, scrambled instructions into automated development workflows, designed to silently harvest login credentials and access tokens the moment a developer updated their code. This is supply chain contamination at scale, and it happened fast enough that most teams would not have noticed until the damage was done. If your organization has developers using GitHub, now is the time to audit your repositories for any unexpected changes to automated workflow files. Unfamiliar commits from unfamiliar accounts should be treated as a red flag, not a curiosity. The previous stories all involve attackers finding gaps in systems that organizations assumed were secure. This next one removes all ambiguity. Cisco has issued an emergency patch for a vulnerability in its secure workload platform rated at a perfect 10.0, the maximum possible score on the standard scale used to measure how dangerous a security flaw is. That score means the flaw is easy to exploit, requires no credentials, and can be reached by anyone, anywhere in the world. The affected product is used by businesses to protect applications running across their networks, which makes the irony sharp. A security product with a door that needed no key. Cisco has not confirmed active exploitation in the wild, but a 10.0 rating is not a warning to file away. It is a directive to act today. If your organization uses Cisco Secure Workload, patching is not optional. It is urgent. Cisco's flaw was in a product people trusted to protect them. The next story exploits that same dynamic. Attackers targeting the trust people place in tools they believe are legitimate. Cybercriminals have built fake websites impersonating two of the most recognized AI coding assistants, Google Gemini and Anthropic Claude, and are using manipulated search engine rankings to push those fake sites to the top of results. Developers who download what they believe is legitimate software are instead installing a type of malware called an info stealer, which quietly harvests login credentials, developer access keys, and even cryptocurrency wallet details. This campaign is particularly dangerous because it targets technical professionals, people who are often assumed to be the most security-aware users in an organization. The attacker's bet is that curiosity and convenience will override caution. The practical response is simple but critical. Always download software directly from a known, verified source, and never trust a search result alone to confirm legitimacy. Behind every sophisticated attack is infrastructure, servers, tools, and services that criminals use to stay hidden while they operate. Law enforcement has shut down a service called First VPN, a virtual private network platform that was specifically marketed to ransomware groups, helping them disguise their location and movements while mapping out targets before striking. The FBI linked the service to dozens of ransomware gangs, and its administrator has been arrested. Ransomware has cost businesses, hospitals, and government agencies billions of dollars, and services like this one are part of why those attacks succeed. By targeting criminal support infrastructure rather than individual hackers, law enforcement is disrupting the ecosystem that makes ransomware viable. For businesses, the takeaway is broader. The organizations attacking you are not lone wolves. They rely on services and suppliers just as you do, and dismantling those networks is one of the most effective tools available to reduce the threat. And finally, a story about the quieter side of this fight, the fraud that never reaches you because someone stopped it first. Apple has revealed that its App Store security systems blocked $2.2 billion in fraudulent transactions in the past year alone, bringing the total since 2020 to more than $11 billion. Fake apps, subscription traps, payment fraud, all caught through a combination of automated systems and human review before most users ever encountered them. For everyday consumers, this protection is largely invisible, but the scale of what is being blocked raises an important question for every platform and digital marketplace. As the volume of apps and transactions grows, and as AI tools make it easier to create convincing fraudulent products at speed, is the current level of scrutiny still enough? The number is impressive, but it also tells you how large the appetite for this kind of fraud has become. Step back from the individual stories this week and a single pattern emerges. Attackers are not breaking systems, they are breaking trust. Trust in tokens left active, in code shipped without review, in tools that look exactly like the real thing, in infrastructure that criminals built to mirror what legitimate businesses use. The organizations that come out ahead are not necessarily the ones with the most sophisticated defenses. They are the ones that have learned to question their assumptions about what they trust, who they trust, and for how long. In a threat landscape that moves this fast, assumption is the most expensive vulnerability of all. That's all for this week. Thanks for listening, stay safe, and we'll be back next week with more cybersecurity updates.